Hey everybody, welcome back. This next couple of videos is basically going to be a rundown of what I'm going to be saying in front of the judge on Wednesday. And basically it's going to lead up to that, and then on Wednesday I'll give you the update, probably later in the evening, as to what happened. Everything started back in the mid-90s when I just graduated from high school, and my dream job was to be a radio DJ at the time. And my dad knew this, and he has long since wanted me not to be a DJ. Still does it to this day, even though I still do. But it's not radio anymore, because radio just doesn't interest me anymore at this point. But at that time it did, and I wanted to be a radio DJ. So what he did was, he sent me to a place called Pittsburgh Job Corps in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He basically told me to pack my bags, and they had a class at that Pittsburgh Job Corps. They had a school there for DJs. That was what he told me. I got there and find out they didn't have nothing there that had anything to do with that kind of thing. And the only reason I stayed there after I found that out was to be away from him, because I was so upset that I probably would have come home and killed him for ruining my dream. So when I did come home, I had long since been over it. I stayed out there and actually took hotel management, which is the only thing I had any kind of interest in. But did I look for a job in hotel management when I came back? No. I didn't want to. Now, he did set me up with a couple of interviews and took me on a couple places for hotels. But I did my best to try and ruin that because I didn't want to get the job. I wanted to work where I wanted to work. It took me a long time to get back to where I wanted to be in radio. I did end up doing that, but it wasn't until 2005. Beyond that, after Pittsburgh Job Corps, here and there things have happened, but nothing really major. He got me my first place to live. I was still living with them at the time after I came back from Job Corps. He got me my first place. I had gotten the job at Book of the Month Club in Mechanicsburg, and it was a place just up the road, just up the street, right up the hill. It was only like maybe about 5 minutes away, driving distance. So I was living there, and I was working there at Pittsburgh Job Corps, or not, Book of the Month Club. But then all of a sudden, I got into a bit of an accident there on the job and dislocated my knee. It took about a week or so to recover, and when I went back, I didn't work as fast enough as I was when I was working there before. So they let me go. And that's pretty much the story for every job I've had since. The longest job I've ever had was the job I had in radio a little bit later on for 2.5 years. I did the overnight shift at that point. Every job that I've had, I worked no more than 2, maybe 3 months. And in the case of McDonald's, it was 1 week. All because of the same thing. I cannot hold down a job. I've never been able to hold down a job. Also, every job that I've been at, including the radio station, I have never been able to make enough money to pay the bills and get food at the same time. I had to either not get one or the other. So my mom and dad had to take up the slack with that and help me out. So that's where we go. Finally, in 2005, I get the job at the radio station. Still not making enough money to handle both, so they had to take care of that. And I got laid off late 2008, and that was only because of the radio station couldn't afford to keep me after the economy pretty much tanked when that happened. So I don't blame myself. I don't blame my dad or anything on that. That was the economy. But it was a good run, and I enjoyed doing what I did. I still want to be a DJ, and I'm trying to become a mobile DJ right now. But under my circumstances, which I'm going to get to here in a bit, it's being tough. So, at that point, in 2008, my dad moved me out of the place I was at and got me a place at Delbrook Manor for $600 a month for rent. He'd pay for it, because at that point I didn't have a job. I got a job then at passing papers with a friend. At first I was doing it with him, and then I got my own route. But again, we were still doing it together at that point. I lost that job in 2010, and that was the end of it. That was the last time I ever worked, basically. I have not been able to get a job since. There were a few places I was working, but I could never hold it down. That was the last place I worked at full time and did something on end. I had the paper route for about 2 years. So in Delbrook Manor, I moved out in 2015, and he got me the place here where I'm at now. This was supposed to be my safe haven. If something happened to Mom and Dad, I was going to be able to still live here. The original plan in the will that he had drawn up was that I could sell his house, use that money to continue living here. Well, about a year later, after I moved in here, my mom died of cancer. She's the one that actually saved me, because my dad wanted to put me out onto the street and become homeless when he moved me out of my first place. My mom stepped in and saved the day and got me the place at Delbrook, and again, this place. Now Mom's not around, and here we are. I'm in the course of being evicted. Dad's looking to get rid of me again. In the same circumstances there was at Delbrook. It's cost too much money to live here. At Delbrook I can understand, because it was $600 a month when I first moved in. By the time I moved out, they had raised the rent so much it was almost $1,000 a month. But here the rent has not gone up. It's still the same. And it's not really rent either. Upon moving in here, I didn't have to pay rent. I didn't have a job when I moved in here. I don't have a job now. He's trying to play it off to the judge, saying that I never paid rent. I didn't have to pay rent. Again, as I said, this is supposed to be a safe haven, a place for me to continue living after my mom died. One thing he tried to do before he started this eviction process is to put me in a mental institution. He gave me a phone number, told me that this was going to be a place that was going to give me food stamps, it was going to give me a place to live, and health insurance, because he canceled my health insurance. And I was going to be able to get all that for free. Well, right before my mom died, I began having eye problems. And the doctor told me I had a detached retina. Now that was detached retina. Now that was fixed. I still had health insurance at that time. But he also told me that I had bad cataracts in both of my eyes, and that I was going to go blind if we didn't get them taken out. Well, upon waiting for my retina to heal, my mom died, and my dad dropped my health insurance because he claimed he couldn't afford to pay anymore. So here he is again, no money. I don't have any money, I can't do this for you anymore. So now, we're up to where we are now. He doesn't have the money, and I just heard from my Uncle Rich last week that he changed the will again. The will now claims that I get nothing when my dad dies, and he's giving apparently he has like $250,000, and he's going to spread that out among all 4 of my cousins. They get his money. They get everything. I don't get nothing.